Yaa Asantewaa, Queen Mother, the fearless female warrior who led the Ashanti War against the British Empire armies. The War of the Golden Stool, Africa's stand against Empire. African history is incomplete without the name of Yaa Asantewaa. To tell the story of resistance on this continent and skip Yaa Asantewaa is to erase courage itself. Long before the world learned to speak of freedom, before independence had a flag or an anthem, one African woman stood before empire and refused to kneel. Yaa Asantewaa was born around 1840 in Besice, in the heart of the Ashanti Empire, present-day Ghana. She was not born into legend. She grew crops, raised a child, and lived the disciplined life of an Ashanti woman grounded in land and tradition. Yet within her was a mind sharpened by history and a spirit anchored in duty. Her brother, Nana Akwazi Afrain Oaks, ruler of Ejisu, recognized this strength and appointed her Queen Mother of Ejisu, one of the most powerful positions in Ashanti political life. As Queen Mother, she was more than a symbol. She advised kings, protected sacred traditions, and held the authority to nominate rulers. By the late 19th century, the British Empire had turned its gaze fiercely toward Ashanti land. Treaties were broken. Wars were fought. Kings were humiliated. In 1896, the unthinkable happened. The Ashanti King Prempeh I, and senior chiefs were arrested and exiled to the Seychelles. Ashanti sovereignty was bleeding, but the deepest insult was yet to come. In 1900, the British governor, Frederick Hodgson, demanded the Golden Stool. The Golden Stool was not furniture. It was not treasure. It was the soul of the Ashanti nation, sacred, untouchable, never sat upon, believed to hold the spirit of the people since the 17th century. To demand it was to demand the death of Ashanti identity itself. Ashanti chiefs gathered in Kumasi to deliberate. Fear hung in the air. Some hesitated, some calculated. Silence stretched dangerously long. Then Yaa Asantewaa rose. She looked at the men who carried titles inherited from warriors and spoke words that still thunder across African history. She asked how a proud people could sit quietly while foreigners seized their king, mocked their traditions, and now demanded their soul. She declared that if the men of Ashanti would not fight, they should exchange their loincloths for her undergarments. Then, to seal her resolve, she seized a gun and fired into the air. In that moment, history turned. Yaa Asantewaa was chosen as war leader, the first and only woman in Ashanti history to command the army. She did not beg men to fight. She summoned them. She spoke of stolen land, burnt palaces, deported kings, and the humiliation of silence. She called on youth, elders, men and women alike. Better to perish defending the Golden Stool, she said, than live forever in chains. With an army of about 5,000 Ashanti warriors, she led what became known as the War of the Golden Stool, also called the Yaa Asantewaa War of Independence. Beginning in March 1900, Ashanti forces laid siege to the British fort in Kumasi, trapping colonial officers behind their own walls. For 6 months, the forest echoed with resistance. For 6 months, the empire bled. The British, shaken by the scale and organization of the uprising, eventually sent 1,400 reinforcements. The war was brutal. Over 2,000 Ashanti warriors were killed. About 1,000 British soldiers also lost their lives, the highest toll of all the Anglo-Ashanti wars. Though the rebellion was eventually crushed, something sacred survived. The Golden Stool was never captured. A fake stool was handed to the British, while the true symbol of Ashanti freedom was hidden and protected. Even in defeat, Ashanti's spirit was not conquered. Yaa Asantewaa and her closest advisors were captured and exiled to the Seychelles. The British chose exile over execution, fearing that killing her would ignite endless rebellion. Removed from her land, her people, and her sacred duties, she endured 21 years in forced isolation. She died there on October 17, 1921, worn by age, illness, and the quiet cruelty of exile, not by the sword, but by separation. Yet exile could not erase her victory.